In the last episode of My Little Pony, we meet Lusterdon. She's the top student at the School of Magic and Twilight Sparkle's newest pupil. Now, the reason Lusterdon became so popular is because she looks exactly like how you'd expect Starlight and Sunburst's future daughter to look like. So if it's clear that Luster looks like their daughter, then why can't we say for certain that she is? Well, that's because we have no evidence proving that Luster is genetically related to Starlight and Sunburst. For all we know, she could be Starlight and Trixie's daughter, or Trixie and Sunburst's daughter, or even the daughter of two random ponies entirely. So join me today as I use the genetics tools from My Little Pony genetics series to figure out, once and for all, who Lusterdon's parents really are. Starlight and Sunburst are the pair most predicted to be Luster's parents. This is because Lusterdon has a striped mane in an updo, just like Starlight, and the same yellow and orange in her color scheme as Sunburst. Now, we already know from ponies like Bright Mac and Applejack that children sometimes inherit their parents' coat color as their mane color. We also know from ponies like Twilight Sparkle and Twilight Velvet that stripes in a mane can also be inherited. This is great news because it means that these similarities aren't just coincidences. Now, if you noticed, there's one pony that I haven't mentioned yet, and that's Trixie. At the end of My Little Pony, Starlight, Trixie, and Sunburst end up running the School of Friendship together. And from the time skip, it's clear they continue doing this for what seems like decades. Now, the reason I bring this up is because it would be wrong to say that only Starlight and Sunburst have a chance of being Luster's parents, because there's an equal possibility that Starlight and Trixie became a couple, or Trixie and Sunburst did. Starlight and Trixie are the most popular pair out of the three, with 51% of the 1.3 thousand of you who voted on my YouTube post saying that they were your favorite. This makes a lot of sense, because Starlight and Trixie get way more adventures together than Starlight and Sunburst do. If Starlight ever were to get into a romantic relationship with one of her two friends, I think it would make more sense for Starlight to end up with Trixie over Sunburst. The last couple who might be Luster's parents are Trixie and Sunburst. The reason I'm considering them as an option is because they solve a major plot hole in this theory, which is Spike not recognizing Lusterdon. When we meet Luster for the first time in Twilight's throne room, Spike's also there to assist as Twilight's trusted advisor. Now, if you pay close attention, you can tell that Spike doesn't seem to know who Lusterdon is, treating her like a complete stranger. Now, he doesn't act this way with Pinkie's daughter, Little Cheese. If Starlight really was one of Luster's two parents, then Spike should recognize Luster in the same way he recognizes Little Cheese. Trixie and Sunburst being her parents would solve this issue, because neither of them are close enough with Spike for him to know Luster beforehand. If you're enjoying the video so far, then make sure to subscribe, and let me know in the comments below which couple is your favorite. Now that we've covered each couple and why they might work, we can finally start analyzing Lusterdon's DNA. To decode the DNA of ponies, we can use the color spectrum known as the RGB. The RGB spectrum stands for red, green, and blue, which are the primary colors of light. When different amounts of these colors are blended together, they make new colors. For example, to make black, all RGB levels need to be set to 0. And to make white, these levels need to be set to their maximum of 255. Computers use the RGB spectrum to create colors and make them appear on your screen. Since ponies appear on screens, that also means all of their traits, from their coat color to their mane color, are made up of RGB values. If we treat a pony's hex code as DNA, and their individual red, green, and blue values as different genes, then we can use those genes to find similarities between parents and children, to figure out if they're actually related. Lusterdon is a bright pink pony, with Luster's highest gene being red and her lowest being green. Starlight is a light purple pony, with Starlight's highest gene being blue, with red closely behind, and her lowest being green. If you noticed, both Starlight and Luster have their lowest gene as green, and both ponies have similar levels of red, with Luster's red value being 242 and Starlight's being 240. Now let's move on to Sunburst. Sunburst is a bright orange pony, with his red gene at 249 or 97%, his green gene at 190 or 74%, and his blue gene at 80 or 31%. Sunburst's highest gene is red, with his lowest being blue. When we compare his levels to Luster, we can tell that they both have their highest gene as red. We can also tell that both ponies have similar levels of red, with Sunburst's being 249 and Luster's being 242. If you noticed, Lusterdon's red value is never higher than Sunburst's or lower than Starlight's, but rather comfortably in between. This is important because why would Luster have this similarity with them if she wasn't their daughter? Now, let's move on to Trixie's DNA. Trixie is a bright blue pony. Unsurprisingly, blue is Trixie's most highest gene, with red being her lowest. The main similarity between Trixie and Luster is that they both have high levels of blue, with blue being Trixie's highest gene and blue being Luster's second highest gene. Now, when we do a side-by-side comparison, it's clear that Lusterdon has the most genetic similarities with Starlight, then Sunburst, and finally Trixie. Now that we know the similarities between Lusterdon and her possible parents, let's use another genetics tool called a Punnet square to determine once and for all which couple Luster is genetically related to. A Punnet square is a tool that shows the probability of children inheriting traits from their parents. Each parent gives one version of a gene, and the square helps us determine the likelihood of that trait being passed down. Two capital letters like RR or GG will represent high levels of color in a gene, like Lusterdon having a red value of 242 for her red gene. Two lowercase letters like RR or BB represent low levels of color in a gene. A good example of this would be Princess Luna having a red value of 54. And finally, one upper and one lowercase letter like GG or BB represents medium levels of color in a gene. A good example of this would be Trixie's green value of 189. I used the chart below to divide pony RGB values into low, low to medium, medium, medium to high, and high levels. Now that we understand how a Punnet square works, let's use them on all three couples. Starlight, Sunburst, and Lusterdon all have red gene values that are higher than 223. This means that they're all high-level red ponies. Trixie has a red value of 127, which means that she's a medium-level red pony. Now let's make one square for each couple. Starlight and Sunburst have a 100% chance of having a foal with high red levels. This is because they're both high-level red ponies. Since Lusterdon is also a high-level red pony, it means that she has a 100% chance of inheriting her red levels from Starlight and Sunburst. Starlight and Trixie have a 50% chance of having a foal with high red levels and a 50% chance of a foal with medium red levels. Their probabilities for a high-level red pony is lower because one of them is a high-level red pony, while the other is a medium-level red pony. Since Luster is a high-level red pony, that means she has a 50% chance of inheriting her red gene from Starlight and Trixie. Since Sunburst and Trixie are also a pair of ponies with one high-level red gene and one medium-level red gene, their probabilities are the same as Starlight and Trixie, which means Lusterdon also has a 50% chance of inheriting her red gene from Trixie and Sunburst. So after looking at all three squares for the red gene, Starlight and Sunburst are the most likely to be Luster's parents at 100%, with Starlight and Trixie and Sunburst and Trixie being tied at 50%. Now, let's move on to the green gene. Lustrodon's green value is 141, which means that she's a medium-level green pony. Trixie's green level is 189, which means that she's also a medium-level green pony. Sunburst's green level is 190, and Starlight's green level is 199, which means that they're also medium-level green ponies. Since all of Luster's possible parents have medium levels of green, that means all of their squares for the green gene will be identical, which means we only need to make one square. When we create this square, it reveals that there is a 25% chance of a foal with low levels of green, a 25% chance of a foal with high levels of green, and a 50% chance of a foal with medium levels of green. Since Lustrodon is a medium-level green pony, that means she has a 50% chance of inheriting those levels from all three couples. We're almost done, so let's move on to the blue gene. Lustrodon's blue value is 202, which means she's a medium to high level blue pony. Starlight's blue value is 241, and Trixie's blue value is 231, which means that they're both high level blue ponies. Sunburst's blue value is 80, which means he's a medium level blue pony. Now, let's make one square for each couple. Starlight and Sunburst and Trixie and Sunburst have a 50% chance of having a foal with high levels of blue and a 50% chance of having a foal with medium levels of blue. Both couples' probabilities are identical because one of them is a medium level blue pony, while the other is a high level blue pony. Since Lustrodon is a medium level blue pony, we'll combine the 50% high and 50% medium probabilities to get a final likelihood of 25%. In Starlight and Trixie's square, there is a 100% chance of them having a foal with high blue levels. This means that Starlight and Trixie have a 0% chance of having a foal with medium blue levels. Since Lustrodon's blue levels are medium to high, we'll combine the high and medium probabilities again. As a result, there is a 0% chance of Lustrodon inheriting her blue levels from Starlight and Trixie. Alright, now that everything's been calculated, let's finally see the results. After years and years of theorizing in this fandom, we'll finally know for certain who Lustrodon's parents are. In third place is Starlight and Trixie, who have a 0% chance of being Lustrodon's parents. 0% means that there's no genetic match and that they aren't her parents. The reason this is the case is because Starlight and Trixie are both high-level blue ponies. Since they're both high-level blue ponies, there isn't enough genetic variety for Luster to inherit the medium in her medium to high blue levels. In second place is Trixie and Sunburst, who have a 6.25% chance of being Lustrodon's parents. This is great news, since we found our first couple who can be Luster's parents. And finally, in first place is Starlight and Sunburst, who have a 12.5% chance of being Lustrodon's parents, the highest likelihood in all the parents we've analyzed so far. This means we did it. We finally figured out a way to prove that Lustrodon is Starlight and Sunburst's daughter. But wait 1 second. Genetics isn't the only thing that impacts Luster's chances of being Starlight and Sunburst's daughter. Lustrodon's age and the other story-related mysteries in the show could either make or break the evidence we've just found. And here's the wild part. Those questions can be answered. I actually found a way to piece together Luster's age, her timeline, and all the weird story gaps that the show never directly explains. But those explanations are so convoluted that they deserve their own video. So expect a part 2 to this video in the near future. Now, I know this theory is long overdue, with all of you voting for this video idea all the way back in August of 2025. These theories take a lot of time to make, So I'm grateful to all of you for watching my videos, despite so much time between uploads. Also, I'd like to thank you all for 20K subscribers. If you'd like to see more content like this, then make sure to check out my TikTok and Instagram. And as always, thank you for watching my videos and have an awesome day.